Hey guys, Man here for another Machinedramon deck profile, as you can see from the thumbnail. We are looking at Machinedramon again, but this time with the new support from Rising Wind. The cards I do have in here are still proxies because as of recording, it's only a few days before the release date. And I just wanted to basically put out this video so that, people can get a sense of like what to grab, for the deck basically. There's actually not too much you really want to get. The only thing you really want to grab would be the Hover SB Mons, especially the AAs for it because it looks amazing art wise. And then, of course, grabbing the new foil reprint of Megadramon from the Black Starter deck from way back in like 2021. So that's basically all the cards you need aside from that. But the cool thing is that the Hover SB and the yeah, no, just the Hover SB actually kind of changes his deck up a little bit, and I have made a few changes because of just how my locals and meta have been kind of panning out, and just looking at what's been going on with the meta since BT13 basically. So for the eggs, we're running the 4 Dorymons, of course, still, because Dorymon still the literal best egg because the fact that when we equip anything with Machinedramon or Chaosdramon, we basically get a free draw. And then if you have a Dorymon underneath, you get a free memory too. So pretty good, honestly. So yeah, we run the 4 of this because it's the best egg. I have seen some builds running the Dorymon from BT13, but that only gives like 1000 DP. Sometimes that matters, but I feel like it doesn't matter as much. I feel the draw is more crucial. For level 3s, we of course run 2 Doros. Doro, I had to put down to 2 because I was trying to fit in one more rookie specifically. Specifically the Gatsumon from BT13, which is actually pretty solid if you can, play it out basically. But I don't know, I like Doro, but like sometimes it's like you kind of break into it, so I feel maybe spreading it out to be a bit, a few different more rookies might actually help it out a little bit more. And of course, with the starter deck 15 that we're getting later on in October, like the beginning of October, we will be getting the new Agumon rookie and the Greymon and the Metal Greymon that can help this deck boost up even higher. So, that way we can make room. Then we run 2 Chikurimon because Royal Knights, Cross Heart, Cross Hunters, and Blue Flare are still around in the format, and this actually almost won me a game against Blue Flare. I lost because of a misplay where I decked myself out with Chaosdramon X. For those that are playing the deck, don't do Chaosdramon X's effect when you only have 5 cards left. Just play an Man or something else that doesn't search. Just play it out and just kind of go for it, because at that point you should have a giant wall that they can't get through anyway. But yeah, digressing from that. But Chikurimon basically just stops a lot of stuff. It even stops like kind of roguish picks like Beelstar because they can't basically reduce the cost of their play. They have to play it out for the 12, which sucks, but that's just how it is for them. Then we run 2 Hagura. Originally, I brought this card down to 1 in my previous build, but I was kind of missing the draw 2 sometimes, so I opted to run maybe 1 more in this case, and I felt it was pretty solid still. He's a good rookie to evolve on too, so as I mentioned before, we are running 2 of the Gatsumon from BT13. I actually really like this one because it's basically a sequel to the original version from like BT2. It has blocker, but also on deletion, you can just reveal the top 3 cards of your deck and just add 1 black card among them. But it's only if he gets deleted on their turn, but that's like just telling them like, hey, kill this thing. But the problem is that they might actually benefit you in the process, so they might end up just not attacking it, which is really cool. Then you get to keep a rookie on the board. But yeah, we run 8 rookies. Most would be wondering why Machinedramon still runs 8. It's because of just how the ratios are in this deck. The deck actually functions better with 8 rather than 10. I've had many matches when I had 10 rookies back before I switched it up to 8 that I would just brick into all my rookies and just get basically rookie rushed basically from my deck. And I feel like because of that, plus the level 5 ratios actually kind of hurt the deck a little bit. So you have to be keeping the rookie count at 8 or maybe 8 or 9 max. If you go past 9, you're basically going to end up with bricks where you just get nothing but rookies. But yeah, for level 4s, for the adult or champion level, we have, of course, 2 Numamons. because Numamon is still really solid. He's a 3 cost. That is like the best for level 4. Also, his evolution cost is also 1, which is still really good and one of the best. So we run at least 2 of this. Then we run, of course, still 2 tank mons, not for the cost, but specifically for its 1 cost evolution and the fact that it's a cyborg. So we can discard this with Haguromon. So pretty cool to get that extra search if you have an extra in hand. Then, of course, we're running 2 of the new Hover SB. Hover SB is really, honestly, really busted because on play or when digivolving, you just reveal the top card of your opponent's security stat, and then if you don't like it, you just put it on the bottom because it specifically states that you can return the return card face down at the top or bottom. So you just go, oh, that was a Chaos Degrade. Okay, I'm going to put it on the bottom. And that way you don't have to deal with it. But aside from that, if it's a Digimon card, when it's revealed, you get to gain 1 memory. But if it's not a Digimon, like it's like a Tamer or something, you get to gain 1 otherwise draw 1. So you basically get either a free draw or a free memory. So this becomes either a 4 cost or a 5 cost regardless, but you get a benefit off of it. And the cool thing is that all turns when there's a Tamer in play, I think with how this works, I think it counts the opponent's Tamer as well. You can correct me if that's wrong, but I feel that's specifically how it's worded, where it says, while there is a Tamer in play, meaning if either player has a Tamer, this basically gains blocker and it can't be deleted by your opponent's effects. So actually really cool the fact that it protects itself. That way you can evolve it up into a level 5 to start searching, which is really cool. That's why this card is just... I feel it's an absolute, at least a staple at 2 at least, maybe 3. If you want to like put this down to maybe, I don't know, maybe put it down to 1 or something, and then just have like the extra Gardromon and this as like the main rookies, and then have Numamon as backup maybe. But I like the 1 cost, so I'm keeping this for now. Then we have for the last level 4 is 2 Gardromon. Gardromon's still really good. 2 cost still pretty good. 5 cost just like Hover SB. And its Inherit is really strong still, so still a very solid card to run in the deck. Gotta run at least 2. I was running at 3, but I feel like it's better to do a 2-2 split on everything. That way you see the other ones. And yeah, that's basically all the level 4s. For level 5s, we run a lot of level 5s, this being a Machinedramon deck, as you know. So first off, we have, for the dual colors, 2 Metal Greymons, because Digivolving, popping 3,000, really strong. Also, its Inherent is really busted, lets you attack unsuspended, so this helps you against the Belphemon matchup, which actually, after finally playing against Belphemon, this deck has such a free matchup against it, because if you just kind of chill, you just don't attack, you can basically force them to just have too many cards, and they can't discard fast enough to basically make it so that Belphemon can swing for 17. So you actually kind of force them to kind of you know, basically have to kind of sit there with you, and they can continuously pop your board, but the problem is that your guy basically can't die, so you just kind of chill there. And this actually does help against it, because you can swing, force them to discard some cards and summon something, and they basically block it, and then they end up having one guy die. And then if you have a Metal Tyrannomon, you basically get to discard a security. I actually won my matchup against Belphemon because of Metal Tyranno trashing their security continuously every time they tried to swing in. But yeah. Then for the second dual color, we run 2 Megadramons. There's just too many decks running around with Tamers, and you know, we need the Tamer hate. You know, on Digivolving and its Inherent, we need to be able to take out Hunters. We need to be able to take out any deck that uses low-cost Tamers, especially Crossheart. So we need this. Then for the last dual color, we run 1 Metal Tyranno, because Metal Tyranno is literally one of the best dual colors for Machinedramon, mainly because of the fact that it can not only stun their board, but it can also help you trash their security continuously without even having to touch it, basically. So really solid card. I am trying to fit maybe 1 more, but I feel 1 is already pretty solid. I think the Tamer hate is a little bit more important rather than just deleting or getting that extra security trash, because you can do that anytime you want, because your opponent's going to run out of resources at some point. But with this, you can basically take out their Tamers continuously, which I would rather have, because yeah, that way we can continuously clear the board. That's all for the dual colors. For the black level 5s, we run a few. We run 1 Metal Tyranno Searcher, because It's still one of the best searchers in the deck. It also gives Reboot. One Andromon because it gives blocker and also searches. One Metal Mamimon because searcher plus when attacking you can delete something with 5 cost or less if this guy has machine in his traits, which it obviously will when it swings. Then we run one Megadramon because of the blocker inherit, so we have 2 blocker inherits at least. Then we run one Cyberdramon for now until we get the starter deck Metal Greymon. Once that comes in, we're switching this out for that. But this one's really cool. When you have a suspended tamer, you get to gain plus 2,000. So potentially you can make your guy 15 or 17,000 depending on which ones you have equipped. And then for the last 2, we run one Gigadramon because there's a really funny combo you can do where you just evolve into this, swing with jamming, survive, and then evolve into Machinedramon, and then basically search and then reboot. So really cool, mainly because of its inherent, because it does give reboot, which is one of the best effects for Machinedramon. And then the last level 5 black is specifically Gigadramon because this one gives plus 2,000. We mainly use it for the inherent. We don't really use it for this because it doesn't really matter considering that Chaos Dramon can evolve on black or red. So yeah, it doesn't really matter at that point. And yeah. Then for the only 2 red level 5s, we run one Metal Greymon from BT1 for its inherit, and then Megadramon for sometimes the on play, and most of the time the security attack +1. I actually had to play this against my friend who was playing Belphamon one time, and it was really crazy because I think he gave me like 5 memory, and I ended up just having to be like, okay, I mean, I have to pass turn, so I'm just gonna hard play this and pop both your small guys, specifically his Gizus, and that was like the only way I could actually like get him to draw out more cards and basically, you know, almost deck out at that point. But yeah, we run one of this and one of this because of their inherits mainly, but sometimes we do have to use this, which is, you know, it happens. And yeah, that's basically all the level 5s we run. We actually run 15 in this build. Originally, I would run maybe 13 to 14 just to fit room for everything else. But now with how we have to deal with the meta, this actually is what we have to go with. Of course, as I mentioned, it will be changing a bit. I will be taking out Cyberdramon for the new Metal Gray in Starter Deck 15. And then, of course, I'll be taking out most likely this Tankmon to fit in the 2 Greymons, the security Greymons, and I will be taking out the 2 Chikurimons to fit in Agumon, basically, or possibly maybe just taking out the Hagurumons because I haven't really seen much of it. But if not, most likely, 100%, if I can't take these 3 out, I'm going to take out Gatsumon because Agumon does help you get a memory, and it can be played for free from the Greymon, so potentially we will be using that. So yeah. Then for level 6s, we will, of course, be running 3 Machinedramons from BT11 because this guy not only searches the top 5, it equips any cyborg of any color from that effect. It also gives you an Analog Man, and on deletion, if you have an Analog Man out, you get to bottom deck it. You get to bottom deck the Analog Man and play a Machinedramon for free. And usually you want to play the original EX1 version, so that way you can gain memory by absorbing all these parts. Yeah. And then we run 3 Chaos Dramon because Chaos Dramon, if you don't see Machinedramon, you want to see this because that way you can set up de-digivolve their board and just kind of ruin their day basically. Also the fact is it can't be returned to deck or your hand, so basically Mirage or any blue deck can't really do anything unless they strip all the sources, which they usually kind of can, but not really because you have so many at that point they can't really do anything. And yeah, run 3 of these. Then we run, of course, as I mentioned, the Machinedramon from EX1. You run 2 copies. That way you can summon this off of this effect. And yeah, also the fact is it can't be DP reduced, so you need this to basically take down Shine. And there is actually a really funny combo where if you set up a level 5 in Raising and you push up and evolve this and pass them to 1, none of their Marcuses are going to be getting through because it can't DP reduce it. It can't do anything basically. As long as you don't suspend it, Shine Greymon can't even touch it. And along with that, if you have like 2 Analog Mans, none of their Marcuses are getting through. Even if that Marcus goes to 12,000, you really don't care because you just detach and then you force it to basically not check any security, which is really, really powerful against Shine. Then we run, of course, 2 of the Chaos Dramon X's because this card is basically your main boss monster deck. We don't run any level 7s in this deck because our main focus is to get into this and just destroy them at that point. Once we get into this, they basically can't stop us because it gains the effects of any machine types underneath it. So if you have this and this, or this and this, you basically get complete immunity from everything except for Chaos Degrade or like, Superior Mode. But even then, we have that to take care of hunters. But yeah, this thing is super powerful, and not only that is that it can equip a machine or cyborg every main phase. So you basically get to just go, okay, detach, okay, get back one of those pieces anyway. So really strong. And then its effect, where it basically trashes the security whenever it would quote die. The cool thing though is that you can do it on your opponent's turn, because it is a once per turn, but it's all turns once per turn. So you get to, so if they try to destroy this on their turn, you go, okay, detach, you keep it alive, and then you go, okay, trash the security, please. Then on your turn, you can potentially purposely swing into something that's bigger than it, and you go, okay, he survives, but he trashes the security regardless. So you can actually just do once the effect once on their turn and once on your turn. So pretty cool. I just really like that you can just block forever and just keep getting their security down every turn bit by bit. And by that point, you can potentially just go for game if they don't have blockers, which most decks are not running in this meta unless you're Belphamon. So you're basically free and clear to just go for game half the time. And that's basically all the Digimon of the deck. We have a pretty like basic build, honestly, but like with how the deck has to work, you have to run all these level 5s, all these level 6s, all these level 4s. It's just how it is. The deck does feel kind of lopsided sometimes, but surprisingly, the deck is actually very, very efficient, and I've been playing this deck for the last few months and have continuously been getting top 3 with it, so pretty good. But then the rest of the deck is, of course, the options and the tamers, and this is what we're still running at this point. We're running 3 memory boosts because we do sometimes not see our pieces, so this does help fix that issue. I've had moments where this basically saved me by getting a rookie, so I always like running Black Memory Boost. Once we get the new starter deck, as I keep mentioning, I will be replacing one of these with a Trident arm from the starter, because that allows me to de-digivolve something by 3 and force them to attack. So once that comes out, I will be replacing one of these. But aside from that, not really much change there. Then, of course, we run 2 Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon. This card is still really busted. The fact that it lets you just basically make a guy have Rush and Blitz means that you can just check all their security and just hard play any of these and basically get to go for a game if they don't have a blocker. So, really strong. Then, of course, we run for Tamers, 4 Analog Man, and 1 Izzy. Analog Man is self-explanatory. I mean, I'm Analog Man basically, and I know this. I will attest that this is literally one of the best tamers in the game. There's not that many other tamers I can name that are just as good. The only other one I can honestly think of that's like close to it would be Davis, because Davis is a generic blue tamer, gets you basically 2 searches in the process and sets your memory. This one does. It lets you trash, it lets you gain memory, it lets you redirect. So really solid tamer, and I would be really sad, honestly, if this got hit to 1, because it's just so good in this deck. Like, without this card, this deck can go, it would go a little bit slower, but I've seen builds actually in the Ultimate Cup only running 1 copy and still getting top 8 with it. It's insane. This card is just way too strong. And then Izzy is mainly just there for the memory setting, plus it lets us stack our deck, which is probably why almost every black deck has been using this card since like it came out, basically. But yeah, that's all. That's basically the whole deck. As you can see, there's not really that many changes with Rising Wind. It kind of sucks that we didn't get that much support for this deck in this new set. I mean, Hover SB is pretty cool. We did actually get a rookie. It's Espimon. It's his normal evolution. It is decent. It does give a plus 2,000, but aside from that, it doesn't really do anything. Like the Espimon does something, but it's not really helping in the grand scheme. Like Doru gives you that memory. Chikuri stops, Digicross decks or anything that like likes the hard play stuff. Haguro gets you that extra draw. Gatsumon also gets you a search. But with SB, he doesn't do anything. It's not really as useful, so I opted to just not even run it. I honestly like his champion form a little bit more because of the fact that it's indestructible for a turn, unless it's getting DP reduced. But even then, against every other deck, they can't delete it. Gallantmon can't delete it, so you just kind of sit there. Um, but yeah, no, it's there's not really much changes. As I mentioned, the only really changes would be later on once we get the starter. But until then, this is basically how I'm going to be running the deck because I don't know. I just like how it already functions perfectly fine. You know, it's just adding a little bit like new support and then a little bit of a change, and then it still runs basically the same. It still does the exact same thing you want it to do. You know, making a giant wall and just swinging and doing damage. But yeah, as I always mention, this is a template that you can use to go off of and then just kind of modify. I know there's literally no actual definitive way to make Machinedramon, as you can see from the fact that I made a red version. I actually made the original version, which actually ran purple a little bit for a while. The fact that this deck can also run purple still as a level 5. It can run blue. It can run like basically almost any color as long as it's level 5 cyborg or whatever. And all of the ratios for these are always different in everybody's deck depending on their preference. There are standards or that there are like specifically like staples where you have to run these three. You have to run at least this and this. But aside from that, like most of this can be up to interpretation, honestly. So you can build it however you want with the level 5s. Same with the level 6s. Maybe you might run two, maybe two of this, or maybe like more of Chaosdramon X because you like him a little bit more. But it's just, yeah, so this deck can basically go any way you want, which is really cool because not that many decks I notice are super versatile because like with Greymon, you have to build it to make the Greymon swing and do a lot of damage. With Garou, you're basically just making Were Garou and swinging multiple times. With a lot of decks, they usually have a very narrow way of going with what they do. Like same with like Shine, you just go and then Belphemon is just make Belphemon. But here it's like you make Machinedramon, but you can do it in like a ton of different ways. You can go from like maybe hard playing this and passing turn and then evolving and then going from there, or you can just actually build it from the stack, or you can just blitz. So you have like three different ways to make the Machinedramon, which is really cool. That's really cool for a deck to be able to do. But yeah, anyway, as usual, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys next time. Most likely with this kind of Machinedramon deck, but with the new improvements. So until next time.